Hello, beautiful people. Today, we're going to have a lesson for good humans that want to learn more about the concept of white supremacy and how our day-to-day actions and conversations might be upholding certain limiting and bigoted institutions of life. You might listen to my voice, hear one of my videos, and think to yourself, boy, that Douglas sure is well spoken. You might even take it a step further and say some childish shit like, he talks white. Listen, I know you probably don't mean any harm when you say that reckless shit, but you are causing harm. You're causing direct harm, and you're upholding white supremacist culture and institutions. You see, a quick Google search will show you that white supremacy is the belief that white people constitute a superior race and should therefore dominate society, typically to the exclusion or detriment of other racial and ethnic groups. So you see, you don't even have to be that color to uphold white supremacy. When you tell a person of color that they talk white, you are saying some very specific harmful things. A, you've summed our entire existence up in how we talk, how we present to the world. Because I know you don't meet your mayonnaise-colored friends and comment about how they speak and the properness of that speech or lack thereof. And don't get me started on the concept of properness. Anyway, you are also indicating the esteem that you hold whiteness. To you, in that comment, you are holding whiteness in such high regard as to say that the proper way to be and talk is that. To do anything other than that is less than. And you are indicating that to speak in any way that is not white is not good. And you're saying it's less intelligent because you said this to a person of color. You talk white. You're surprised. You've equated intelligence, class, and regalness with whiteness. Actually, let me be more specific. You've equated it with anti-blackness because you're anti-black. That's anti-black speech. Mind you, you can be black and also anti-black. So let's be careful. The words that we speak to each other, how we speak to one another, the observations we're making, they're not always enlightened. And you may be signaling some things to some groups that you might not intend to. You might be throwing your support behind some concepts that are otherwise detrimental to the very fabric of society. So please, I don't talk white. No one talks any color, because that's illogical. You talking real orange right now. That actually might mean something, I don't know. It is so invalidating to my very black experience to reference me in such a way. I am more than my intelligence. I'm more than how I speak. I'm more than my experience. But I am black to my core, and I promise you whiteness does not appeal to me. Don't engage with white supremacist culture. If you get a knee-jerk reaction to think before you say it to a person of color, maybe don't say it, even if you are a person of color. That's it for now. Talk to you later.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Yes, the Trump talk is going to continue because today he was officially arraigned in DC, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. And yes, I still have the handy dandy clipboard because I had to take notes, and there's like 3 pages of them. So we're gonna get through that. And once again, thank you to everybody who joined me last night when we had to start about an hour and a half later, and I tried to make it as clear, concise, and quick as possible. So thank you. But we got some stuff. We do have to get caught up on some things. Let's jump right into it with an affirmative action debate that took place in a class at Harvard University. You will find this quite interesting.
We need now a critic of affirmative action. Yes, go ahead.
I think that what happened in the past has no bearing on what happens today, and I think that discriminating based on race should always be wrong, whether you're discriminating against one group or another. Just because our ancestors did something doesn't mean that that should have any effect on what happens with us today.
All right, good. I'm sorry, your name is?
Kate.
Kate. All right, who has an answer for Kate? Yes.
Well, with regard to affirmative action based on race, I just want to say that white people have had their own affirmative action in this country for more than 400 years. It's called nepotism and quid pro quo. So there's nothing wrong with correcting the injustice and discrimination that's been done to black people for 400 years.
Good. Tell us your name.
Hannah?
Hannah. All right, who has an answer for Hannah? And just to add to Hannah's point, because we need now someone to respond, Hannah, you could have also mentioned legacy admission.
Exactly. I was going to say, if you disagree with affirmative action, you should disagree with legacy admission, because it's obvious from looking around here that there are more white legacies than black legacies in the history of Harvard University.
And explain what legacy admissions are.
Well, legacy admissions is giving an advantage to someone who has an arbitrary privilege of their parent having attended the university to which they're applying.
Go ahead.
Racial discrimination is illegal in this country, and I believe that it was African American leaders themselves, when Martin Luther King said he wanted to be judged not on the color of his skin, but by the content of his character, his merit, his achievements. And I just think that to decide solely based on someone's race is just inherently unfair. I mean, if you want to correct based on disadvantaged backgrounds, that's fine. But there are also disadvantaged white people as well. It shouldn't matter if you're white.
Tell us your name.
Ted.
Ted, are you against advantages that come from the family you were born into? What about legacy admission?
I mean, I do believe that in terms of like a legacy admission, you shouldn't have a special preference. I mean, there is a legacy admission, you could argue, is another part of diversity. You could say it's important to have a small percentage of people that have several generation family attendance at a place like Harvard. However, that should not be an advantaged factor like race. That should just be another part of promoting diversity.
Should it count at all?
I think that
alumni status, should it count at all, Ted?
Yes, it should count.
Ted said it. And did you catch how Ted believes that legacy admissions would bring about diversity? Diversity of what? Potential hyphenated names between the legacy students? Because even with legacy student admissions, I want you to take a guess at still who has the highest amount of admissions under legacy admissions. I can promise you they don't look like me. But he started to stumble. It's illegal to do things based on race. There are a lot of things that are illegal that racist white people still do. We watched a former president practice nepotism blatantly in front of our faces in order to skate past and completely disrespect the emoluments clause. But legacy admissions. Yeah, you're right. White women. Because here's the thing. White women have the ability to skate between the lines of intersectionality and take the benefits of all these different things and just put them in their basket. Because white women can uphold the patriarchy and still benefit from the patriarchy. White women can pat on the back and excuse racist behavior by all people, whether it's external or internalized racism, and they can reap the benefits of it. White women can utilize the emotional and physical labor of marginalized women and femme-presenting individuals. And then once equity is achieved, once legislation is placed, they just throw their hat in the game and run off into the sunset and use it to their advantage. Now, recently, like currently in one of my comment sections, there's an individual fighting for his life, trying to convince me that everybody has the same freedoms and that Black people have it easier within the United States. That we do not have a target on our back, that we are just as safe as everyone else. I want you to take a look at this video. Now, I titled this one, Overzealous Cop plus Typo equals PTSD. And let's go ahead and put a trigger warning on that.
Whatever is in your hand, put it on the roof. Hands outside the window. Hey, we need more officers. Huh? Are you serious?
The wrong tag was written. This isn't a stolen vehicle.
All right, let's just take our. I'm taking my gun with them.
Listen, bro, we just here for a basketball tournament, bro.
We just learned right now. That's why we stopped.
Come on, man, don't do this to my son, bro. Please, I'm coming out, bro.
Come on out.
I don't know.
Come on out, please. Can you?
Come on, man. I'm a basketball coach, bro.
It's okay.
Look, I got concealed carry and everything,
No,
bro. That's on my son for no reason, dog.
Can I explain to you? We ran a tag. The tag came out stolen, but it was the wrong state.
Come on, man. Y'all has y'all on this, dog. Come on,
that's
man.
standard protocol.
And that dude, bro, my brother just got killed not too long ago, bro.
We didn't.
That's
we
bad.
were careful.
That's a terrible experience.
It was an honest mistake. Okay? Listen, we didn't want to do this.
Okay.
Like, if this was the wrong car, we didn't know, okay?
Boy, I ain't know what the hell y'all.
The cop kept saying, we didn't want to do this. In what world is deadly force needed to protect and or retrieve property? Even if, let's play devil's advocate, let's say that car was stolen. What was the need for that level of force? What was the need to call in extra units with the car surrounded by officers with their guns drawn? Yet, when you are a full, living, breathing human being that is being assaulted, that is being beaten, that is being harassed, that is being stalked, all of a sudden they can't do anything. They take forever to get there. They're willing to talk about the situation, and then they get on the internet, on social media, and make light of domestic abuse situations. But for a car, for property, for merchandise that insurance will replace, now, in my 46 years on this planet, I have seen several videos in my life of car chases where there's some places that have told the police, unless somebody's life is in danger, unless there's a kidnapped victim in that car, stop with these car chases, because random individuals were being hurt and or killed because of these car chases. Over white people not giving up a car, over white people driving it. Like, you ran the plates. That means you have their name. That means you have their address. But yes, let's use deadly force for a car. No, that child will never forget. That child will forever be living with PTSD. Forever. Now we got to talk about DeSantis. Yes, the awkward bobblehead known as presidential candidate, current governor of the hellscape that is now Sodom and Gomorrah, DeSantis, or as he says it, DeSantis. He tries so hard to be a good old boy. Here we go.
Includes how slaves develop skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. Could you just explain?
Well, you should talk to them about it. I mean, I didn't do it, and I wasn't involved in it. But I think what they're doing is, I think that they're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life. But the reality is, all of that is rooted in whatever is factual. They listed everything out. And if you have any questions about it, just ask the Department of Education. You can talk about those folks. But I mean, these were scholars who put that together. It was not anything that was done politically.
Sure. Well,
as I've stated before, we're not going to do woke, okay? What we are going to do, we're going to let educators come up with things like this. It show that an individual was able to parlay what they learned into a successful career. Much like a Houdini, who later became a great escape artist, parlayed his time being falsely imprisoned into a successful career. Probably, quite frankly, much like Ron the Sanctimonious parlayed a great career in law into a great career at a pizza parlor place, quite frankly. Like I'm at the blackjack table, and my previous success, I parlay that into an even greater success. I'm like Ted Cruz. Slavery was a good thing. The previous uncivilized nature into something more educated and useful to society. Yes, indeed. Yes, they were able to parlay, so to speak, their previous jobs, which they were paid quite well for. Food.
As the comment that I put up on the screen said, don't forget his role in Guantanamo and how he's trying to deny people currently speaking out because they remember him at Guantanamo Bay. But also, I want you to remember, Ron DeSantis is a former history teacher. His first published book was about his interpretation of history. So I'm sorry, I don't care what he says. You can't tell me he didn't have a hand in it. Ron is trying to put his hand in everything. He wants to regulate Disney. He wants to regulate everything. He wants to get into the White House and make defunct several departments so that he can overrun them. Ron is not known for being able to disperse responsibilities. He must micromanage everything while knowing little to nothing. And I'm being very, very generous and gracious by saying next to nothing. But we must discuss someone else who believes that they know something and know next to nothing. Our favorite caricature, Jeff Mead. Once again, he decided to allow a black man to pop into the box while he was live. And I told y'all, Jeff, all he has is talking points. He does not know how to research. His comprehension level is very low. I don't care how many degrees he claims that he has and how proficient he is at business. And he's like, oh, I started several businesses right out of school. You are online too much to run a business. Ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way. But let's take a look at what he had to say earlier today.
Well, for one, this is a news article. This isn't, I said send me. Okay, for one, you sent me a screenshot.
Yeah, I know, but I sent you the link though. I sent you the link.
I said, okay, how about you send me the curriculum? Because they could manipulate these words.
They can't manipulate it because multiple...
I paused it, but I want you all to keep paying attention to where he keeps looking off at, meaning there is another device near him where at any time, Mr. Bad Hairline, Superdome himself, could have done his own fact checking. And if you've been around here for a while, you know that whether I have a guest or something comes up, breaking news, because I generally have the news playing in the background. If something comes up, if something is brought up, you all have seen me in real time pull up the information. It's not hard. It takes a few seconds to Google something and scroll through to find a viable resource. But let's continue.
Sources are saying that this is what Florida is doing.
Okay, so go send me the curriculum. And then we can talk about it. Because you're sending me a screenshot of it. Anyone can find a screenshot of a news article. That doesn't even mean it's true.
It is true. That's what they're literally teaching. Like, if you go on the internet, there are so many sources that you could find out there that says Florida is going to be teaching this.
And the best source you could get is a screenshot at NBC News.
Yeah, because there are tons of other sources that I could give you, but I'm giving you this one. There are tons.
See the change in his body language? This is why I don't understand why he keeps inviting Black people into his lives, because he's not dismantling anything for the sake of his audience.
Okay, so give me a better one. Why don't you go to the source?
Seriously, Jeff.
Yeah, seriously. I know that might be a weird concept for you. I know you might be used to the news.
Jeff,
Projection.
they are literally going to be teaching that. In fact, even the Black conservatives have even disagreed with this. They say that it's wrong, surprisingly.
Ding, ding, ding. Remember the last time we spoke about Superdome here? Superdome Coontastic Coalition here? And I said he doesn't pay attention to Black people, even Black people on his side. Black conservatives, one of which is in the clown car of candidates for the GOP presidential candidacy. They, even after having careers up until this point in politics, denying that there's racism and claiming that there's diversity within the conservative GOP, are speaking up against this new curriculum in Florida. What is Jeff doing? He's tripling down, because the only thing he's following are white racist men and their talking points. He just simply sits back, takes notes on them, and regurgitates them out for clicks, likes, views, and monetization. Because even yesterday, he was talking about putting out merch. And not for funsies.
Why is it such an issue for you to go send me the source, the real source?
Because I want to hear your stance on this.
Well, how about you send me the real source?
This is the real source. This is literally what they're going to teach.
NBC.
And if you also remember, I told you, Jeff is having an internal crisis right now. Jeff does not believe what he's spewing. Therefore, Jeff can't come out and give a definitive stance, just like he couldn't give a definitive stance regarding the Jason Aldean song. He's going to keep moving the goalposts to not give an answer. And his sycophants will be fine with that. As long as Jeff doesn't say that it's racist and makes them feel bad, they're going to keep popping into his lives. Now, if you notice, every time I record one of his lives, it's not like he's getting a bunch of gifts. Not to the point where he's getting the sunglasses, the hats, the big money gifts. It's too many of them grifting at this time. There's not enough money to go around. And we're going to get into where the majority of the money is going to here in a little bit.
News is the real source.
Yes, this is literally coming from them. And all the others, Jeff.
No.
Please
bro, all you got to do is send me the real source.
Jeff, you can look it up. It's not, this is literally...
Yes, but me to go look it up while I'm live is not the adequate time.
Why not?
You're seriously telling me the thing I just sent you is not real? You don't think...
I'm not saying it's not real.
So you think it's 100% bullshit?
Here's what I'm saying, okay? Here's what I am saying. I doubt that Florida is saying that slavery was beneficial to Black people, okay? So now if you say individual slaves learned skills that could be applicable to them after slavery and that was a benefit to them, that is not the same thing as saying that Blacks benefited from slavery.
That's what they
Because, Black people had no skills. I guess we were just laying around on the shoreline, hoping not to die, in some way still procreating, and not becoming emaciated. Maybe we just wandered around in circles. But he highly doubts it. Jeff Mead, the same person that has attempted to use very right-wing articles that have been repeatedly disproven to prove his points, now doesn't believe the news. I guess. And remember I said we're going to get into where the nitty-gritty where the bulk of the money is going to, it's going to the same person it's always gone to for the past few years. Donald John Trump. Yep. That's what we're moving into today. And if you think I'm joking, people are literally admitting out loud with their whole chest, full face in the camera, that they're giving up their hard-earned money for Trump. And just a quick caveat before we get into this video. In order to qualify for these GOP debates, especially this first one coming up, you have to have so many individual donors. So even if you donate to your favorite candidate $1, that still counts, and that will get them on the debate stage. This is why Trump is consistently on debate stages, even though I don't think he could spell debate. I don't even think he could spell duh. But that's just me.
So I just donated $100 to Trump's campaign, help him out with lawyer fees and shit. I hope everybody else helps him out too, man. Fuck these motherfuckers, period.
Now, given how clean that vest was, and school is not in session minus the year-round schools, I'm going to say he was on his way to work. Now, isn't it amazing that with zero evidence, after multiple investigations, all of these people were willing to lock up Hillary Clinton just because Trump didn't like her? Just because she had the nerve to be a woman that was going to run for the office of POTUS against him. But with all of this undeniable evidence, Trump's own inner circle, his legal team, and we're really going to deep dive into that, turning state's evidence on him, they're still claiming it's bogus. And even as much as they keep trying to scream at the rest of us that Trump is a billionaire and he's so successful, they're sending their hard-earned money for his legal fees. And let's not forget what we discussed the other day, where Trump created a super PAC in light of the insurrection that raised millions that he's been siphoning out illegally to pay for for all of these legal teams. Now, once again, see the previous person who was waking up to Trump shenanigans, the podcaster. Now that is just now making its round on social media, for real, for real. Aren't y'all glad y'all get the scoop first over here? Bring your friends over here so they can get the scoop first too. There's yet another one that's waking up. And this had to hurt, because this revelation, once again, when they say it out loud and they talk it through in 4K.
What are your thoughts about today?
I just have one question. I wanted to know if my president lied to me today. And if he did, I want him to tell me. And more importantly, I want him to tell the family of the woman that got shot and killed. I voted for him. I voted for him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he lied to you. And they're continuing to lie to you because they want your money and they want to have power over you and everybody else. They want your money, honey. That's all they want. They don't care about you. They want your money. He lied to you. He's going to keep lying to you. Trump could be in prison and he'll find a way to get CNN, Fox, OAN, Newsmax, or Breitbart, or any of the podcasts to come interview him so he can continue to lie. That's what he's going to do. That's what they're all going to do. And before you go, I heard that Pence is finally telling the truth. Let's go to the handy dandy notes on Mr. Pence, okay? Pence has finally decided to admit that Trump tried to get him to commit a crime, but he still claims that he still didn't want charges brought against Trump. And you want to know why? He's using this as a talking point, thinking that he will be able to attract the Macedonian voter base. If you think I'm joking, let's take a look at his own words coming out of his own face.
Pence is singing like a canary, and it's a beautiful song.
Let's be clear on this point. It wasn't just that they asked for a pause. The president specifically asked me, and his gaggle of crackpot lawyers asked me to literally reject votes, which would have resulted in the issue being turned over to the House of Representatives, and literally chaos would have ensued. So, Martha, I just people can read the indictment, and frankly, I've said before, I had hoped it had not come to this point. You know, I don't know if the government can meet the standard, the burden of proof beyond reasonable doubt for criminal charges, but the American people deserve to know that President Trump and his advisors didn't just ask me to pause. They asked me to reject votes, return votes, essentially to overturn the election.
Guess who finally got a fucking backbone? You're never gonna guess. Of course, it's a little too late. But watch this.
The former president only asked Pence to, quote, simply pause the voting on January 6th.
Let's be clear on this point. It wasn't just that they asked for a pause. The president specifically asked me, and his gaggle of crackpot lawyers asked me to literally reject votes.
Them some strong words coming from a spineless person such as he. Oh, but he continues. Peep this.
In the issue being turned over to the House of Representatives, and literally chaos would have ensued. President Trump asked me to put him over the Constitution, but I chose the Constitution, and I always will. I mean, I really do believe that anyone who puts themselves over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. And anyone who asks someone else to put themselves over the Constitution should never be president of the United States again.
Did you learn anything new from it?
Well, I did. I didn't know anything about the efforts to secure fake electors around the country. I learned about that after the fact.
Unfortunately, all that tough talk, if you want to call it that, is a little too late. Mike Pence will never be president. Mike Pence will never get the GOP nomination for presidency. I don't know why he is spinning his wheel. I don't even know why. Maybe it's the grift. Everyone running for the nomination on the GOP side is making money on the grift of it all.
Everyone but Pence, because Pence still has not qualified to hit the stage for the debate on the 23rd of this month. He doesn't have enough individual, independent donors to make it happen. Because let's not forget, as a governor, and I'm going to keep saying this to drill this into people's head, he created an entire AIDS epidemic within his state. And it was 2 years ago that he got thoroughly exposed on TikTok from his former boyfriend that he had while he was still married to Mother. Dropped her seats and everything. Well, while Pence is doing that, Rafael Cruz is trying to talk shit about the district judge, not the magistrate judge that Trump went before today. The district judge, the one that I broke down for you all yesterday. And where did Rafael choose to do this? On his podcast, of course. Take a look.
Rafael Cruz, who, again, says that we don't need to respect people's chosen names and identity, and Rafael is on his birth certificate. Rafael Cruz is criticizing the judge who is going to oversee Donald Trump's January 6th related trial. He criticized her on his podcast, which, by the way, I'm sure is riveting. Newsmax then did a story about it, and he then retweeted the story. I don't care that Elon Musk changed Twitter's name to X. It will always be Twitter, and tweeting to me, calling it X is extremely stupid. So Rafael says that Judge Tanya Chutkan who is the judge assigned to Trump's case, is extremely hostile, then why did Rafael Ted Cruz vote to confirm her, along with every other Republican senator? At what point does Rafael Cruz qualify to be Donald Trump's proctologist?
And you would think that at this point, Rafael would finally get a backbone and revel in the consequences of Trump's actions catching up to him, especially since Trump went so hard at Cruz's wife, at Cruz's background, his ethnic background. But no, do I believe that little Mr. Rafael has been in bed with Trump for a lot of these things? Yes, most certainly. Just like I believe this next person is freaking out. And she's already having some consequences. I can't wait to see the rest of the consequences that she gets. And who am I referring to? Oh, you got that right. Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene. Or is it just Marjorie Taylor? Did she keep the last name after the divorce? I don't know.
For saying the election was stolen. You know who else said the election was stolen? Hillary Clinton said the election was stolen. And then everybody parroted her talking points. Stacey Abrams said her election was stolen as running for governor here in Georgia. And then everybody parroted her talking points.
And you want to know why, Musty McMud Pants? First of all, you stole enough money while being a politician that you shouldn't still be working out in your garage like us regular, schmegular people. Actually, I don't even work out in the garage. But it's because, let's go backwards. Stacey Abrams was running against who? The AG at the time, who was in charge of the elections in Georgia, who used his position, y'all remember, to sway the election. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. And some way, somehow, that election was swept from under her feet and handed to Trump. Trump has never won a popular anything. Remember when Celebrity Apprentice was up for an Emmy and he couldn't get the votes to win an Emmy? And he pouted like a little toddler that didn't get an extra cookie. The majority of nothing has ever liked Trump. So yes, those were legitimately stolen elections with verifiable proof. But even with that, those two women bowed out gracefully in order not to impede the forward motion of the United States. Do you know how hard that is? To know that you have the backing, to know that you have the support, to know that you've technically won, but you backed off. Just like, I don't know how many are old enough to remember, but the whole Chad situation in Florida, of course it was Florida, with the Bush election. And after the recount, even though there was a concession before the recount was complete, we found out that Bush didn't win that election either. But once again, opponent stepped aside and said, you know what? Let's not impede the forward progress of the government because the people need the government to continue working. We cannot shut down the government or just not have a leader in place Now, before we get into today's arraignment, I need to make something very, very clear to y'all because it's very, very obvious that there's going to be a fourth indictment handed down. And I know Trump is over on Truth Social claiming that, you know, all he needs is a fourth indictment and the election is clinched for him. The delusions of grandeur. I hope one day I have as much confidence as this lame-brained individual. But Georgia said there's going to be no special circumstances. Will the peaches grow? Special circumstances? They say no.
Yes, so much yes. I'm here for all of it. We need a perf walk. We need the mugshot. We need the handcuffs. The whole nine. We need all of it. Y'all, I can't wait.
Yeah. Perp walk, mugshot, the whole nine. No special circumstances. He will be treated as anybody else that would be coming in to be arraigned. But let's get into today's arraignment. Whew. Keep in mind, this is his third arraignment in 4 months. The charges and potential penalties were read to him by, once again, the magistrate judge today. So we're going to run this down. Charge 1, conspiracy to defraud the United States carries a maximum of 5 years. Conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding carries a maximum of 20 years. Obstruction of official proceeding carries a maximum of 20 years. Conspiracy against rights carries a maximum of 10 years. Whew, Chad, he gonna be under the jail. During the course, the magistrate judge read Trump his rights. He confirmed that he did understand them. His plea was entered at approximately 4:30 p.m. and he pled not guilty. Discovery must start quickly as of today. Trump cannot communicate with witnesses or potential witnesses without counsel present. The judge did inform Trump, keep in mind, this is the magistrate judge, not the district judge that we talked about yesterday. The magistrate judge that we talked about when the indictment first was handed down. The judge informed Trump that any violations of the court's conditions will result in imprisonment. Did y'all hear me? If Trump violates the conditions laid out before him today, they said, go straight to jail, do not pass go. They will clink you. They don't care nothing about a campaign. They don't care about nothing about your name. And this was in writing, and Trump signed it, stating that he understood. And one of the biggest things that the judge pointed out was that Trump was not to commit a crime, which includes witness and or jury intimidation throughout the course of any of these proceedings. Now, it was discussed that Trump's appearance this has not been confirmed, can be waived for the first court date for the sake of a speedy trial. Now, there were 3 dates available. The government, aka the prosecution, wanted the earliest date. The defense wanted the latest date. Of course, the date that was chosen was August 28th at 10 a.m., which will be the next court date. And that was the latest court date that was currently available. And keep in mind, August 28th is 5 days after the very first GOP debate. Remember, we went over the calendar yesterday. Now, a protective order was requested by the prosecution, aka the government, and that's officially how it is put down, but it's Jack Smith that's asking for this, requested by the government regarding the items in discovery. The trial must commence within 70 days due to the Speedy Trial Act. The defense is requesting that the trial clock be suspended and that they just be able to take their time. Now, the magistrate judge has been in contact with the district judge. Remember, the district judge is Judge Chutkan. And Judge Chutkan will set the official trial date on August 28th. During the arraignment, there were several DC judges that sat in and observed. Some were coming in and out to see what was going on. Some sat there through the entire arraignment. The prosecution is set an intent on a speedy trial under the Speedy Trial Act, which is imperative given that Trump has thrown his hat, obviously, into the arena for our upcoming presidential campaign. The entire arraignment took 28 minutes in total, and even though that seems like a short period of time, that is longer than normal, than usual. And if you remember from the other previous 2 arraignments, they were pretty quick. They were in and out. Now, this is partially due to the following. There were delay requests made by the defense, and there was a fight over evidence sparked by the defense. Discovery is generally not debated during an arraignment hearing, but it was a little bit today. The defense is claiming that the magnitude of evidence means that the Speedy Trial Act guidelines are absurd, aka unfair to them, because that's why they keep going on TV and saying publicly and everywhere that what took them 3.5 years to do this, to investigate this, and now they expect us to go through all it. First of all, you already knew basically what they had against you. If you've talked to your client and got him to be even a monochrome of honest with you and all of the people who have turned coat, you know what you're up against, basically. You know what you're up against. But whatever. Let's see. And it appears that this is the most feared case regarding the Trump side of things, the defense. Hence, the Trump attorney, the lead Trump attorney for this particular case. Remember, there's a lead attorney for each one of these cases, and there's different legal teams for each one of these indictments. Attempting to try to have this tried in the court of public opinion, and Trump is unraveling online, claiming that he's being arrested for the people and that he needs a fourth indictment in order to clinch the election. Trump's current court schedule is offering some issues with their ability to schedule hearings, etc. Remember, we went over the entire calendar of what Trump needs to do regarding other court cases and to keep up with the campaign within the GOP for the presidential campaign, on top of any potential rallies that he may have in there, any potential town hall meetings that he may get on TV and host, or non-televised town hall meetings, any interviews that he would have to do, etc. And the trial date was discussed, which is not standard. But once again, it will be Judge Chutkan that will set the trial date on August 28th. Also in the courtroom today is Evan Corcoran. Well, Corcoran. If you can't remember who Evan Corcoran is, you know I'm going to tell you. Now, he was present, and remember, he was forced to testify against Trump previously in a grand jury hearing. And he told it all. He told it all, word on the street says. And remember, he was a former Trump attorney. Catching a pattern here? You want to know who wasn't present? As we discussed last night, Melania Koskotobutt is saying that her, Barron, and her parents done went back to Slovenia. Now, there's some additional little gossip, little chatter going on that she may not be in Slovenia. She may be in a country that will not extradite, because remember, they did subpoena some records of hers as well, and it's looking like she got out of Dodge. Not so much because she just can't stand Donald. We knew that from the beginning. But she's trying to avoid being indicted herself. Like I said, that's allegedly, that's just word on the street. But you know who else has not been to any of the court dates and has seemingly distanced herself, even when she attempted to distance herself from the Trump Organization fraud case that's about to come up here soon? Miss Ivanka. Miss Ivanka. She been MIA. She has been MIA. Now that we got that out of the way, we got to talk about Fulton County, Georgia real quick. Just real quick, because I did get some updated information right before going live tonight. If I get any additional information, I'll probably go live on TikTok and then reiterate it again tomorrow on here. Miss Fani Willis, and yes, her name is Fani. I'm so tired of people calling her Fanny. It's Fani. Stated that her oath that she took compels her to prosecute crime within the confines of that county. And it is very well known that she is a quote unquote fan of RICO charges. She has been successful with this with many other cases. Now, here's something I don't think a lot of people know. Fani Willis pulled in a highly credible, highly reputable journalist by the name of George Cheedy. He has been a grand jury witness regarding this, what everybody's saying is an impending indictment against Trump, and more than likely some more co-conspirators in Fulton County, Georgia. And why was he pulled in as a journalist, you may ask? It's because of what he witnessed regarding electors and politicians leading up to and post-election. Child, these trials are about to get juicy. I think we just found our new summertime telenovela. I do. I think once we're done with Arthur Knight, The many cases of Trump, that's what we're going to call it. The many cases of Trump is about to be our new telenovela. Because honey. Whew. Yes, we do need to load up a bus with the witnesses on Trump to say, woo. Now that was a mouthful. Lord Jesus. Okay. But I went through the rabbit hole for y'all. Went down the rabbit hole for y'all. Now, some big news, some unexpected news that dropped today that I'm going to admit I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this coming at all. Like, at all. Hold on to, clutch your invisible pearls. If you're drinking or eating something, swallow now. Swallow now. Put the cup down. Put the snacks down. I don't need y'all to be choking. Because you're about to be shook. You're about to be shooketh. Taketh a looketh.
Well, guys, it's official. Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis will have a debate. Ron DeSantis said this debate between California and Florida is already over. The people have been voting with their feet for years, but the debate about the future of our country is one we need to have. I'm game to talk about my plans to reverse the decline in this country anytime, anywhere, because I have the best vision for this future of our country. Now, honestly, I find this hilarious that Ron DeSantis thinks he's going to be able to compete with Newsom. So this debate will be happening on Fox News. It's going to be hosted by Sean Hannity. And it's definitely going to be one of the best debates we've seen in years because this is probably going to be the 2028 presidential candidates. Now, obviously, my vote is for Newsom wiping the floor with DeSantis because Mr. I have no personality over here can't back up anything he's doing in the state of Florida anyway, which means he probably doesn't have a very good plan for this country. Now, my true question for people is how many times do you think he's going to use the word woke in his debate? Drop your answers below. This is your political mom. Educational purposes only. Viewers' discretion advised.
Hold on. Let's see. I thought I wrote down the date for this, but I didn't. So let's check it out. Do we have a date for it? Let's see. Let's see. And depart on Wednesday. Well, with just a quick search, it's saying Wednesday. So if I find out anything else, I will let you all know. Like I said, I thought I wrote that down, but I didn't. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I did not think that DeSantis would go for any debate with anybody because I hadn't heard him even saying anything about participating in the first GOP debate on the 28th of this month. I know that if it's not written down and it's not pre-planned with a pre-planned audience and all that stuff, historically, Ron has avoided it. He has avoided it. So will he be wearing his fancy white boots? Who probably in his caterpillar eyebrowed wife is going to be there with just the whole closet thrown on her. Now, I'm all for non-traditional fashion choices, but I don't know who dresses either one of them. I'm beginning to think that they don't have electricity and the only mirrors they have are funhouse mirrors because ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Mm-mm. 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 Well, as always, now I do have one final video for you all. It's just a hee-hee-ha-ha video to come down off of everything that we've talked to today. But as always, thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Tess, specifically for today for Think About It Thursdays. And if you like this show, make sure you pass it along, share it on your social media platforms, and bring a friend back with you. And make sure you check out the links in the description of this video. And if you have not read the indictment for yourself, a link directly to it is in the description of this video. And keep in mind, tomorrow is Freeform Friday. So if you come across any Am I the Assholes or anything you want to see, make sure you send it to me either through my DMs on TikTok or Instagram, or you can email them to me at asktaz77@gmail.com. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Now have a good laugh, y'all.
And I'm bad like the Barbie. I'm a doll, but I still wanna party. Pink felt like I'm ready to bend. I'm a 10, so I pull in a can. Like Jazzy, Stacy, Nikki.